Bro, I recorded a whole video. I did a whole video on Sony just now, and I didn't even have the audio unmuted, so all of it was just for nothing. But we going to just look. I'm going to paraphrase and keep it short and funky and sweet. All right, we're going to do this real quick. Let's just go over some quick stuff, man. All right, first off, the not the argument that the world is going digital is a terrible argument. It's absolutely terrible. It's like saying you need to accept NFTs as the ultimate collector's item. So then why are we buying Funko Pops? Why are we buying Yu-Gi-Oh cards? Why are we buying collectible figures? Why it's the physical part of it that makes it collectible. Cause you can own it forever. You can have it forever. No one's coming to your door to take what was yours that you purchased at full price to possess. Like it is yours. That's the difference. That's the difference. But let's just see. Look, let's see how impactful having physical media was or is. Excuse me. I'm not gonna say was because it still is. It still brings about 10%, 15 to 25% more than what the digital sale conversions are. And in some cases, the major releases are doing 60% sales better than digital, 40% sales better than digital, 75, 80% sales better than digital. And like I'm gonna show a video in a second. We're gonna react to it. That covers a good amount of this stuff, but I want to throw in some of my own things that I felt was very interesting. All right, so look at this. This is a pre-launch. This is a launch for what was this? This 2K? I'm trying to remember. I think it's a launch. This is a launch for 2K. Look at this. This is all guaranteed sales. Guaranteed day one launch after 12 a.m. sales, man. Right? Let's look at some more. Okay, look at some more. Hold on. We ain't done yet. People or Google. People waiting in line for PS3 release. Look, man. 9 o'clock. November 17th. November was the time, man. You just knew we was gonna get something special when November came. How long have you been waiting here? Since 9 o'clock this morning. Look at that. I've been here since Wednesday morning. For the record, because you gotta go with credit's due. There was no midnight sneaker launches like this. This was the only time, my boys, all right, where you had midnight launches, camping outs. You had midnight launches where people were camping out, waiting to get their physical copy and go home and play it. Waiting. That excitement, that need, that's what filled the demand for games. Because they can see it. They can see people showing up. 9 a.m. This is like 2013, something like that. Like, this is posted in '06. So excuse me. Like, come on, man. Let's go back. Let's go back. Let's look at PS2. Right? PS2. Camping out. This is in 2000, man. Look. And I'm glad, because this is obviously not 3 years ago, but I'm glad that they retained this. Like, this is important. This is media that actually has a purpose. Look, kids, families. No one was fighting, breaking people's heads and stuff like that. Nah. Granted, later on down the line with bigger systems became, people did get a little more crazier, but it's a show that the need, the love, the devotion for physical media is very prevalent. It's much more prevalent than digital, right? And when you have physical media, it is directly related to ownership. The ability to dictate what you're going to do with what it is you just purchased. Okay? It gets so deep, man. It gets so deep about ownership. Like the country's built on ownership, all right? The world is built on ownership, control. Control is the basis for everything that we see right now. Okay? Let me just go ahead. Let's go to this mission statement. visual that Sony used to live by, right? We all recognize this. Power to the players. Sony Interactive. Look at that.
Peggy 18.
Look at all of this. You hear the audio in the background. You see the gaming system. See that? Look at the sneakers. All of this, Domino, this is all during the time of launch. These things were available. This is the highlights. This is how the culture of gaming really thrived and evolved. Like, this is when it was exciting to be a Sony Interactive supporter. Like, you love to play the games. You love to see what happens you know, to to the next system to come out. What are the benefits and stuff that like the things you can get, right? Things change. Small PlayStation, faster, right? Lower time, more compact. Look, they get older. The clothes change, the times change, and so the system, which means so is the gaming experience, which means so is the gaming memories. Look at that. Come on, man. And I'm just like reacting to. I just wanted to show you because times change, right? But look, each time times change, each time the time is changing, Sony is still focusing on creating memories and lasting impressions derived and dug deep into community and culture. All right. Generational impact, man. Generational. Now they're adults, right? Going through the age. This is the PS3. Look at that. PS look, PS3, better, better version of the PS3 relaunched. Times changed again. 20 look, PS4. More modern art. Look at that. Oh my god. When the PlayStation 3 dropped, one of the highlights of the PlayStation 3 was that the online was free. Okay? Online was free. You can get on your games, load it up, jump online when you want. Totally free. You could download movies. Granted, it was like a form of piracy, I guess you could say, pirating or whatever. But in this case, right, if buying licenses means you don't own the things you buy, then it's not pirating. It's not even a physical. It's not even an actual like possession of media. It's an NFT. It's like saying this is just what you think it is. An NFT world, right? An NFT world, you can again they can sell you something and tell you it's yours, but you have no physical no physical possession over this stuff because it's not even a physical asset. All right, you can't liquidize those type of assets. You can't make large money off those assets because when you make the sale, you buy it, right? A person can just rebuke it. Whatever their terms and agreements are, if you bought into it, then the power's still on them. And with Sony, they've already removed 500 plus movies, right? There's some games that's been removed, right? And those are things that people have purchased, all right? Okay, the average spending for a gamer that's been a devoted Sony fan from 2000 to now is roughly around 15 grand, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, right? And when inflation happening the way it is, we can pretty much estimate with the system being almost $1,000 in some cases, $1,200, right? With GTA being $100, even access to the game's offline in storyline features. Okay, you can get the top notch features or you get the watered down features. You can get the essential plan or the premium plan. You can get yo, bro. The world right now is on a level of greed, and subscriptions need to be regulated. Like it needs to be regulated. Subscriptions is like having people pay for rent every month. That house will never be yours, right? Unless you got the money to put down on everything. But ideally, most of the cases, the house is not really yours. It's still owned by somebody else that's allowing you to stay there. You're paying off the debt to to be able to own the property, not just the house. Until you own the property, you will never own the house. And it's the same thing with here. If you don't own the property of your disc, you don't own the rights to play it necessarily. You own the rights to play it temporarily. All right, and there's no refunds for temporary licenses. Just want to put that out there. You don't get your money back. Right. So what changed? Right. What changed? Sony took on a new chairman. All right. Raj. Let me look at this man's name, man. But the new chairman has a history with merging Disney and Fox. Okay, that merger led to tons of shows, studios being acquired that now focus on putting shows primarily through Disney streaming service. Okay, so to see these shows, you have to have the Disney streaming service, which is almost forcing you, right, to watch your favorite shows, the shows you like, or movies, or whatever it is that you like to watch. You have to watch it with subscriptions, which means you'll never be able to own it. All right. Listen, man, this is just like, yo, it's just so crazy because you would wonder, like, what is going on in the world that people, are ignoring these things. They don't think they're not taking it serious. They're not taking it serious. And as far as it can go, it can get incredibly deep, incredibly deep. Okay.
The Sony PlayStation physical media controversy has gotten even more nuclear as people are now boycotting and canceling their Plus
So
subscription.
people are canceling the plus subscriptions, right? I'm gonna cancel mine as well. All right, I'm a long term Sony fan lover. I got a different system too. Got a little collection. It's over with, man. My games, if it's gonna be digital, will be on PC. All right. If my games is gonna have to be digitally bought and purchased, I would rather have it on PC. I'll be real with you. It don't make no sense to have a console and your console is strictly online. You might as well have a PC for that. But I guess that's another argument people don't like to have. So let's keep
It's an
going.
open rebellion against Sony, and Sony is doubling down on repurposing their entire manufacturing future already. And
Also, it creates a monopoly. You can't buy the games. All right, you can't buy the games nowhere else. And if you're designated to the Sony store only, and if you check it yourself and compare the Sony store's current games that are also being sold physically, especially in the last 10 years or so, right? The value's almost doubled. You almost have to pay double the price for a physical copy digitally. Sony is not budget from that. So that means if you can't buy the physical copies no more and everything is digital, Sony is selling you digital versions of the physical games at a higher price. Okay? And there's no one to argue that because the monopoly is already created. There's nowhere else you could buy the games. You have one source location to buy the games. These games are going to be price hiked. They already are being price hiked. And then they're subjugated to being removed when the studio seems fit. Excuse me, when the corporation deems it, because it's not really the studio making these decisions. It's the people that are signing their checks.
as well as other companies are mocking Sony, as fans are openly rejecting their whole decision pretty much, and they want to increase the prices of their service.
And this is another thing too. How much time have we seen Sony just crash and burn so far? They dropped the ball with The Last of Us, right? They had a multiplayer that people were loving, were I mean, like phenomenally excited to see, especially after watching The Last of Us 2, and then people still playing The Last of Us 1. People are still playing The Last of Us 1. You can literally download The Last of Us 1 and load it up online and jump right in. People are completely still playing the game. Yes, there's cheaters and stuff like that. And the game is like 13 years old plus or whatever. So it's not gonna have like, the cheat system that reads it and identifies it and makes sure it blocks it. It's not gonna have all of that. All right. So you're gonna have your cheaters. But you got cheaters in every other game too. All right. The fact that people still get on like that game. All right. The vast majority of people that get on that game are not cheaters. They like to just play the game. The game is a phenomenal experience. Phenomenal, which is why it has long-term turnover time. What people want right now is a GTA 5. They want a freaking Fortnite, right? They want long-term live service because they can it helps them be able to project and expect the type of money they're going to get physically for the year, right? Physical, well, excuse me, well, just it'll be digital, but they call it the physical year, right? The physical work year, whatever. They understand to some extent that subscriptions carry consistent income. at 549 a month, at 1249 a month, at 20 something a month, and then you're multiplying that by millions of subscribers. They'll never own it. They'll always pay. Right? And the argument is that if you pay, you get all these things, right? All this whole library of all our stuff and this and that. But then things are being removed. And you don't even get like an update about it. There's no refund for it. So their argument is that they're giving you almost everything, right, for $5 a month. But you're not realizing that the things you buy for $5 a month, $10 a month, 11, 12, $15 a month, you won't own. And if there's any games that are worth owning, it's the physical representations of those games. Okay? Last of Us is completely important to own physical. Horizon, important to own physical. Devil May Cry, important to own physical, right? Mass Effect, important to own physical. Halo, important to own physical. Gears of War, right? Important to own physical. I mean, I could keep Kingdom Hearts, important to own physical, right? I could keep going. Really, it's so much. Max Payne. These are 10-year plus games that if sold online in Sony system, they're gonna be charged more. Okay, I'm that's why I'm mentioning these games. These are games that are long lasting. You can still buy them physically right now, but they're harder to find and they still have value. The GameCube is almost two times I think what it was when it dropped. Just to find a GameCube right now. That's a physical system, right? GameCube, Nintendo. To buy a copy of Majora's Mask, Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask, right? Look, a sealed version is worth 3,500. Look, let's keep going. Let's do GameCube because I was covering GameCube. Sealed with case this $80. Legend of Zelda, a set, 240. All right. These physicals are all look all worth more, except to some case you might find a steal, but they're all worth more just as much as the games today. Today, today, and these cost less to make, and they're just almost as much as the games cost today, but they have way more value in them. Come on, man, this is like you. If you have kids, you could pass the games down. The kids don't have to look at your videos to go, "Oh my God, you used to have this? That's crazy! I didn't know you could have this and have this whole stuff together and all of that." Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yep. And it's totally possible to play the game with your friends when you want when you come home from school. You don't need to be subscribed to this account. You can just go play, turn the game on, and you're fine. Profile and having profiles was not a commonality either. That came during the Xbox 360 and PS3 days. Okay, there was no profile for PlayStation 2. Your profile was saves if you had a memory card. That's how it was.
Is on top of everything else, if you can believe it. Like, where do I even start with this one? I guess let's start with Sony's PS Plus cancellations first, and then we'll move on to the physical media future stuff later. As seen here from Insider Gaming, PlayStation fans are canceling PS Plus in protest of digital future. If you haven't noticed, people are really mad about
Mm-hmm.
this. I don't blame them either. One of the only ways that people are able to actually hit Sony where it hurts is to unsubscribe on
Yeah, their
Wikipedia
money.
that got hacked a while back.
Now
Though
look at
tons of
this.
stuff actually
During
got
the
leaked
Insomnia
for
hack, it
future
also
games and more.
actually
That's how
gave
we
out
know the Venom
a
game is
real
coming at some
breakdown
point
of the
next.
physical sales
Anyways,
versus
the
digital
part that
sales of
matters
major
here
games.
is from the different story compared to what Sony is actually saying publicly. As they
And
say
this is a
here,
form of deceptive
recent claims
marketing.
that digital versions of games account for 78% of total PlayStation console sales have been taken out of context.
Mm-hmm.
This statistic includes numerous indie titles and older games that are exclusively available digitally,
Mm-hmm.
significantly distorting the overall picture. To objectively assess true demand, it's necessary to consider major releases that were released simultaneously on physical media and in digital stores. So
Saying though.
already the numbers are being manipulated on purpose in order to paint a different picture than what Sony is actually saying. It does
Mm-hmm.
get more in depth though. Let's read this next part.
Cause
Data from
confusion.
Insomniac Games leaked last year reveals a completely different picture. According to internal Sony documents, 31 of the 33 major story-driven exclusives sold more on physical discs. Uncharted 4 accounted for 83% of
Look
physical
at that.
sales. Sackboy and Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart accounted for over
Look at that.
75%. Spider-Man and The Last of Us Part II
Just
accounted
talking about
for
these
over
games.
60%, digital sales dominated primarily in the games as a service segment, such as MLB The Show, the baseball game, where users prefer to stick with discs for regular gaming sessions.
Now, there's this added argument about not added there's an extra piece of information that's being thrown in here to cause confusion, right? To inflate numbers to make people think that digital sales are at an all-time high above physical sales. And it's DLC. DLC DLC of today is unfinished product that's missing from a game you bought at full price. Okay? GTA 6 has a price wall enabled right now on their main storyline, right? Where if you don't buy the Ultimate Edition, you don't get access to the unique and premium services available in game. In game. So you're basically playing the game at a diluted version of itself because you didn't spend the extra $30, the extra $40 or something like that. That means their standard is really the $100 one. Okay, their standard at base for a full experience is the $100 Ultimate Edition. The $200 one is like, premium RP plus and man, if I told you that my food makes a lot of sales and I go, yo, you know, it sells more than, when I do my sales make more when I make food like this versus when I make food like that. And the food like this I'm referring to is unfinished and uncooked. You feel me? Like, yo, it's not even all the way done. You know what I'm saying? It's rare looking at it. It's raw. Yo, it's still good though, cause I make a lot of sales. I just sell it to farmers. I sell it to people who can use the raw meat. But it must mean that I should keep making my food like this for other people in a different market that want their food cooked because I make more sales when I sell to the farm people. So they must be the same type of people in market. It's not the same. It's not how it works. It's not how it works, bro. It's not how it works, gang.
So essentially, Sony saying their games sell less on physical to such a degree might actually not be the full truth. Of course, the games that are being used from the Insomniac leak come from years back, but since then things could have changed dramatically. Either way, the evidence points that in terms of Sony's first party games, they have not
Mm-hmm.
in fact sold better digitally over physically,
Have
at
not.
least according to Insomniac's internal leak data. And as they said, the numbers being skewed could be using digital only games as a pivot to influence those decisions. So why do that? Well, it's simple. Publishers have to pay upwards of 30% of each copy sold to retailers when you buy them physically.
Fair
So
enough.
in
Yeah. They
general, they're
lose
losing
them
30%
30%.
of their
Yeah.
profits per copy sold to you in a store, but if
In a
that were
store
digital
because it's
only, well, they'd
competitive
have it all
marketing.
first party
It's meant to
anyways.
have that
So this
type of
pivot,
turnaround.
in theory, could be happening in order to ensure that Sony has complete control, but in
Complete control over
return,
the
you
income.
are losing options.
Mm-hmm.
This can't even be disputed. I mean, again, it leaked from Insomniac, a first party Sony studio themselves.
Yep.
Although the
Yep.
backpedaling is already happening. We have damage
Yep.
control articles like this one recently from Vice that states that only 12% of sales of Sony's top selling games were from
And
physical
Vice is
sales in
not.
2026.
Look,
The
Vice is
source of
not to be
Vice's
trusted. That's a
referencing
very
is
untrustworthy
Algorithm
media source.
Analytics, which posted the games that have sold the most
They
on
make hit
PS5 and
pieces.
how much each game sold digital versus physical. Here's the
Mm-hmm.
image they're referring to. EA
Look
Sports
at this.
FC26
Look at
was the
this.
highest selling game on
Resident
PlayStation this
Evil,
year.
right?
As
All
you can
right,
see,
fair enough.
apparently 12% of sales are
Soccer,
physical
all
and
right, fair
overwhelmingly
enough. Arc
digital.
Raiders
For
is a
Resident Evil
completely
Requiem of
online
Odyssey,
experience.
27.8%
There's
of
no
sales are
physical
physical, the
comparison.
rest were digital. Arc Raiders is
Horizon,
obviously
Forza
all digital because
Horizon
it's a digital only game, which
5 is a
again, that will
complete
dramatically
media.
skew
It's
the
a like,
digital
come on,
versus
bro.
physical debate when that
Exactly.
game isn't even
It's not
available
even
physically
available on a
anyways,
physical.
which
Come
is
on,
not really fair, but it is what it is. As
right?
it keeps going, the physical split is smaller than digital. Even the damage control articles that are coming out in
Look
defense
at
of Sony,
this.
they can't even deny that physical is, to some capacity, still a viable way of selling
Mm-hmm.
games because there is absolutely I still do it because those copies buy digitally or hell, but you should dance
What's
even
that?
the damaged PlayStation users via PlayStation Plus itself. However, Vice also confirms, as I highlighted there, that
Mm-hmm.
first-party
Look,
PlayStation games are indeed selling more physically than third-party, and they also
look,
cite that
and it's sad because they had Resident Evil up there on a different. You feel me? On a different stuff or for Vice or whatever I think it was. And if you could see right now that it's just like what the hell is going on? All right. I'll come in a sec. I'll come in a sec. Because the numbers don't add up in that last one. But then here it says that it sold 27%, right? Eight physical, while the ghost this is it's selling more. All right, and the third party games that launched. All right, so look
And
at that.
Insomniac League 2. So even the damage control articles that are coming out in defense of Sony, they can't even deny that physical is, to some
Physical
capacity,
is
still
still
a
selling
viable
more.
way of
Mm-hmm.
selling games. Because there is app buy digitally or you're crazy for a now. Because again, owning a game physically, or really anything, it just hits different, right? I still own my PS1 Final Fantasy games.
Talk
I still
about
have
it.
Chrono Cross and Legend of Dragoon on PlayStation 1 physically on
Talk
my
about
shelf.
it.
Those games
Dragoon. I still
mean
didn't
something
finish
to me.
that
I think
game. Shit
getting
hard as
rid of
hell.
physical in general is just a bad
Mm-hmm.
idea. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
physical media is still huge. Go look at how large
Mm-hmm.
the Pokemon card industry is right now. Even Magic the Gathering is still making boatloads of money too, right?
Like yo, physical. Come on, cards, systems, the games, the Funko Pops, the character figures. Physical media has always been one of those things that translates to collections, to collectibles,
Right?
so
For example, I collect
priceless
the Final
value.
Fantasy Magic the Gathering cards. When I buy the booster boxes, they were originally around $200 each. Now, as seen here, they're like $300 each. And
Mm-hmm.
don't even get me started on
Come on
how
now.
expensive the special booster
And this is
releases.
not Yu-Gi-Oh or Pokemon or Magic. Oh no, this is Magic Gathering or Beyblade or any other like other things you could do on the tabletop. All right, this is literally Final Fantasy themed Magic Gathering, and that in itself, that collab is fire. But just you can see the price difference. Things have physical media is at an all time high. Really.
Box bundles cost. They're like thousands now. The point is that physical media is important because they are collector's items. That is what
Hmm.
they are. I mean, I have a massive collection of Yu-Gi-Oh cards from when I was a kid, still to this day, and I'm
Just
still
talking about
buying them.
Yu-Gi-Oh.
I want all the originals. I wouldn't care about those cards if I had them only in a digital format, but the fact that I have them physically in my hand and I can see them and hold them, I mean, that's
Hmm.
everything, man. That's why physical matters. And Sony is 100% ruining that future of that potential industry and that fan base by doing what they're doing. It's no wonder why GN has taken the side of the
Look at what
players, which
IGN
is
said.
not very
Whoa,
common for them.
hold
As
on.
seen here, they
and
call PlayStation's decision offensive, and you cannot trust digital purchases,
IGN
and
don't
you
know me. I
cannot
got good
trust the
things to say until
corporations that
now, so we'll
offer
take
them.
that.
Based, actually, I love to see that. As IGN said it here, the ability to simply re-download content we purchased in the past should be a bare minimum service. I
Literally.
agree with that. In my previous video about Sony, I
Not a
spoke on
subscription
Studio
based
Canal.
service.
That's a
Not you
distributor
only
of
get to
movies.
download it
Okay, so
after
they
you
rewrote over
subscribe.
500 movies from PlayStation's library, and whether
Bro,
people
what?
paid for those movies or
Bro, I
not,
bought
they
the
were removed
game. It
nonetheless
should be
because you
there
ultimately did
always.
not own them. And once
What's
those
the sense of
licenses
doing
ran
that?
out,
Like,
which they did, everyone who bought those movies lost their access for forever. And that's
mm-hmm.
scary, right? Because that is 100% losing access to what you paid for. That's why people are in open rebellion right now because you don't own anything. The crazier part is that Sony has already turned that switch, and things are now moving very, very quickly. Okay, look at this here. The Verge reported that Sony's disc factory, that has created the vast
Yo.
majority of their physical inventory, is
By the way, the disc tray like need right. The disc tray is still selling at an all time. It's still selling at an all time high for Sony. It's just that due to high demand, it's always have been in high demand since they launched the PS5, and they started like it's not a need for it.
already being repurposed. The factory, which is located in Austria, has already been notified in advance of these changes, and Sony has also invested a further $34 million into the factory in order to repurpose that factory to shift from making PlayStation physical media to now optical micro lenses instead. These micro lenses can be used in AR or VR headsets, medical devices, or camera
Bro.
sensors. But the days of Sony's factories make pivot back from their tens of millions and in their food will no longer
Yeah, they begin a lot
they're
of
going to
slack.
come and find you at your house. They're having fun, at least somebody is. But when KFC puts it like that, yeah, it's kind of ridiculous when you say it out loud. Even Domino's Pizza had fun with this, where they said this in response to trends in the gaming industry. As of the 1st April 2027, Domino's UK will cease production of physical pizzas and shift to production of digital pizzas only.
Like, bro.
Alongside
Upgrade your workspace with Desk Trolley, the
Commercials, y'all.
top-rated ergonomic brand.
Commercials. They get no
Enjoy
respect here.
thousands.
We don't watch
Spinoffs
those.
and others at PlayStation, we're answering questions with investors as to what the future of the whole company will have, obviously. And the general idea was that, as you can see here, that Nishino said that
And I
PS
said something like this too. Look, Plush offer strong value to players, and we continually balance that value against customer costs. We are using multiple levers to improve profitability, including pricing, tier mix, and content acquisition efficiency. Higher tiers now account for 40% subscribers, which can include, oh my God, which can include, hold on, I'm gonna pause it, y'all, 'cause I can't, hold on. Yo, Raj, them dogs, bro, I'm doing a video. Come on, man. Come on. Shut up.
PS Plus is offering strong value to their player base. And that
Now, this is, it looks good on paper. All right, all this is nice until you wake up one day and your stuff is gone, and no
currently
one's there to tell you why.
40% of PS Plus users are subscribed to the highest tier of Plus available because it gives them access to everything, obviously. But while PS Plus is a key driver of profit for Sony, the challenge is, according to Sony, they need to ensure that the service is able to continue as it needs to keep requiring new games to be added constantly to the service. For example, July 2026, which is right now as this video being made, Modern Warfare 3 is the main headline game for PS Plus users, a game that took hundreds of millions of dollars to create for Activision. And if people stay subscribed, they can continue to play these games they have in their accounts for as long as they are still subscribed. For example, I have been using PS Plus since about 2012 or 2013, I think it was. So the amount of games that I have saved in my library from redeeming games every single month is borderline ridiculous. I think the majority of my library on PlayStation is the Plus games. It's gotten
Yeah.
to the point where it's better, honestly, to not buy as many games because they might just be added to the service anyways. Personally, for me, at glance anyways, PS Plus is a solid deal on paper. I think if someone were to buy a PS5 or even a 4 right now, they would subscribe to Plus for a year and they would objectively get more games that way through the service than spending extra money to play them one by one. But regardless of that value, which is a lot, I will admit, the end all gotcha argument is
It's
still yes.
ownership.
At the end, you still don't own anything. You're right,
Ownership.
you don't. At any moment, right? Sony can remove anything they want, which they do every month. Some game gets removed from these services. They do. And this again ties into that whole digital future and why people are so angry about this, and rightfully so. Because yes, you own nothing in this sense, right? So to many, what's even the point? And if all your games access is tied to PS Plus, which is likely many people at PlayStation, then a price hike for another update for PS Plus in the future is going to be inevitable. Because
Inevitable.
Sony can now just charge more and more. And then you will have to pay for it if you want that access still. Like Nintendo has also increased their pricing for their online subscription too. Xbox is the only one that has reduced their pricing, but that reduced price comes with games people actually wanted to play. Like, for
Yeah.
example, the new Call of Duty games are now removed, which was a big reason for why people wanted to use Game Pass in the first place. So it's all a
Because Game
double-edged
Pass had a
sword. Is
better
the point
deal
here? Nothing is
where
100%
you still
free,
could pay
right?
everything
But the
for
point is
much
that
cheaper and
Sony
get
is
some
stuck
amazing
making
games on Game
things more
Pass.
expensive, and eventually this will hit a point where people just can't realistically afford it anymore. The problem here, however, is that Sony gains all the advantages, while we as the people gain nothing. By
Nothing.
repurposing the factories and the
No
like,
refund, no
Sony is
ownership.
saving boatloads on physical costs that are being removed. But it doesn't mean that games are going to be cheaper. So you're going to be paying the same for less, essentially. And yeah, that's a problem. Honestly, in general, I think the games right now are just too expensive as is, especially in Canada where I live.
Bruh.
It is just too much money to buy every new game. And I also saw people online raging about another potential
Yup.
controversy as seen here from Gaming Bible, where users were saying that their physical games trophy data and playtimes are being removed, while like the whole digital games that they own were not. I did want to bring this one up because Gaming Bible and others reported that they spoke to PlayStation support about this, and they can actually confirm that this issue is a bug, and Sony is actively working to resolve it right now.
So
So for
your
those saying
your
that Sony
gaming,
is
yeah.
deleting physical games data from your console or like the playtime
So
and
there's a
all, can you
bug, but I
confirm
still think
that
that's a
was real or
dismissive
not?
like
But if that's true, that's
excuse.
hilarious because they deserve it. Well, part of me sees why the digital future is happening.
By the way, some of the people that are investing into the gaming industry, into Sony, is the Bank of America, is BlackRock, it's BlackRock, Morgan, JP Morgan. Okay. We know these and there's other ones, but those are some really important names, all right? They want immediate turnarounds. They don't care about long term turnarounds. These people don't care about the gaming industry. They don't really play it. it just seems like maybe somebody that was corporate level decided to, they noticed the money was coming in the game industry, was like, I want to get my hands into this, and they became investors, which caused their friends who are also investors to some extent put their money into the gaming industry. And since media is the best way to control the masses in some form, of course they want to have control over media at gaming levels. It's a game in everybody's household, damn near. It's much more unlikely to find a household without at least one game system in there. So, man, I'm hoping that this somewhat forces the chairman leave. The new chairman is no bueno, right? I mentioned from the beginning the new chairman is the person that merged Disney and Fox, that helped subscriptions, that's pushing things to a subscription base, that's trying to remove everything physical and go all digital. All right, he's a chairman from last year. Has not been responsible for the success of the last 20 semi years plus for Sony, but it's going to come in today to say, yo, we need to have this instead. And this is the stuff that I be talking about. Like, when I look at companies like this fail, gaming studios like that fail, I wonder who was in charge when they were successful, what the development team looked like when it was successful, and then why are we seeing this now? What is the difference? And most of the time, the difference is in leadership and in development roster. All right, it's in the types of people you're hiring. Okay, I ain't no sexist or nothing, but I will tell you that an all woman cast is not gonna be as gritty, grimy, and grungy as an all man cast. The same way an all male cast may not have as much empathetic moments in movies, games, right? Uh, as compared to a woman's directed film or game. Those are fair statements. Is it rooted in complete truth? Not necessarily. Every situation is different, but in generalities, it has some stake on that. So let's just see what happens, man. But I'm telling you right now, going digital is a fool's argument. It's a fool's argument. All right. If you were going all digital, excuse me, if you're going all digital and you're in alignment with this, right? You're telling your friends that, yo, listen, we in the digital world, bro. We need to go ahead and that's a problem. People already watching you, listening to you, recording you, making profiles of you. Now you can't even own the games you purchase. Now you can't own the media you purchase. You can't own the things you like and enjoy, the things you pass down. Passing down will be like a thing of the past. The same way it's a thing of the past to talk about having free online. Power to the players, a thing of the past. Like, when the powers of the players stop being the model, it's stuff like that I have to ask. I have to wonder. Because to know how we got here, we got to know where we came from, right? And then what's in the middle, fill in the blanks. So, listen, I'm tell you right now, the same way we can go on Nintendo's website and see that a game that's 9 years old is still at full price. The price hike full price at that, right? Mario Kart, not this Mario Kart, Mario Kart 8, $60. Okay, Deluxe Edition, game boosted, $90. Okay, Mario Kart is always like that. We should not even. Okay, cool. All right, Mario Odyssey, 65. 17. Look at that. 2017. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. Fine. Fine. We're gonna keep going through this, right? Because we don't listen to each other as people. We just listen to dumbass individuals that put out bad media and argue each other. Stupid. 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 Let's just do. You know what? Because this video is getting kind of long. You get the gist. All right. Owning is what creates value. It creates the collectible value and the love of and the love of physical possession. It's the idea that you can hold on to something for so long, right? That I can have my degrees physical, right? I can have them printed out and have them walk around with them. I feel like I've accomplished something. Excuse me. I could I could take my Nintendo, even though the price tag for Nintendo is this. I could take my system and go anywhere in the world and without online still play all my games in full, no DLC required. Like we 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 need regulation, like for subscription base. We need regulation for Sony's monopolized mentality. We need these people removed from the chairman's position. Okay, all right. We need them removed. We need people to be able to vote these guys out, and we need refunds. Like, if you're gonna take licenses away, if we're not, by the way, this is deceptive marketing because buying is purchasing, purchasing is ownership, ownership is possession, right? If they're telling you buy this, it's the idea you're gonna own it. This is why the assumption to buy it means to own. You go to buy food, you buy clothes, you buy sneakers, you buy washing utensils, you buy soaps, you buy toothpaste. It's meant to be kept home in possession of yours, so you for you to dictate when to use it and how to use it, right? So if we're going digital, that all goes away. That all goes away. And control is just like, that's the only thing that they focusing on right now. So if we all band together, yes, this can happen. I'm canceling my subscription. I'm buying GTA on PC. I'm not doing nothing that's gonna give Sony a lot more of my money. F all that. Um, but I really push for you guys to look into these services, look into these media outlets like Vice, who will point out deceptive marketing information, you know, to cause confusion, conflict, but amongst the masses of people, the consumers. And man, I hope we can one day get to see politics players again. Like, subscribe, follow the channel, please. I'm trying to get to at least 100 followers. All right, 100 subscribers, 100 subscribers. Please, please, let's do this. 100 subscribers. Like, comment, subscribe. Like, comment, subscribe. And in the comments, tell me, like, what was your first system? You know, how do you feel about owning the things you buy? Would you be okay with with leasing everything that you have in life? Like, would you be okay with leasing your movies, and if that's the case, then why not keep Blockbuster here? All right, why not have those and GameFly? All right, till next time, peace.
Happening, it is profitable, it costs less.